One of the most challenging and overwhelming things to do as a teacher is to organize your classroom. But organization is such an important role when it comes to your productivity. And so being somebody who is organized and has systems in place is going to be the thing that helps you be more productive. So in this video, I'm going to be taking you guys around my classroom and sharing with you how I organize everything from supplies to all of my teacher materials. Let's go. Okay, so I am a fourth grade teacher in central Pennsylvania. I really have a passion for literacy instruction, which is good because I teach ELA and social studies. So before we get started looking at all of the individual systems I have in my classroom, I want to give you a quick roundabout tour. So here is the back of my classroom. You can see there's the door. I have some storage. We come into kind of my teaching area for when I'm doing small group, and it also acts as my desk. We have the library, and then we have the front of the classroom, which you're gonna see I have something very new and different, which is a view board. And then I have more bulletin board space and more cabinets. So I'm gonna start with this space that you see right behind me. Ignore the rattling noise that is probably happening above me. There's nothing I can do about it. But this space that you see right behind me is going to be right when my students enter into the classroom. So this is going to be a place where I want them to get some information. I want to be able to have things that they're able to get to. And so this will often be some of the student materials that we will use within the classroom. Let me give you guys a little bit of a closer look. So right when you come in, you're going to see I have a very small bulletin board, which I'm very grateful for. But if I didn't have a bulletin board, you could easily find some corkboard materials that you can Velcro up to your wall and use that as some form of a bulletin board. But I have a little stand and then a 4-cube system, which is from Ikea. And inside of this little stand, all I do is I have a list of student names, and then I have a bathroom sign out. I did go ahead and decide to put a little cup of pencils up here so that my students could easily sign out. Typically, these pencils are going to be ones that we are not utilizing anymore because they're a little bit shorter. And then underneath it, I have this little basket, which inside of this little basket, it holds all of my calendar items. So I have all of my days, I have my sunglasses for when I take my students out to recess, and that is what I use to change this information up here. It was something very simple and quick that I put together at the beginning of the year to make it fit for my school and my students. I also have our first aid bag that we have to take out for whenever we are doing fire drills, and I also have a basket down here, which apparently I have one random Band-Aid. So in this piece right here, students don't have a lot that they're accessing. This is going to be mainly for my use, except for the clipboard where they are signing out. Now the 4-cube system is going to be different. This is going to be where students are accessing different materials. I do have a digital clock for them to be able to use. I have a pencil sharpener. I have my turn-in bins for both of my blocks. And then down here in this cube system, I have different bins. These are from Lakeshore. I have some for scissors, I have some for glue, and then I also have one for crayons. I have a tray system that I've gotten from Ikea that holds all the different types of paper that we can use in the classroom. I have a bin down here for my markers, and then I take this out to recess sometimes, so I keep that down there. And then I have an extra tray if needed, along with some hole punchers and tape, and typically I have a stapler, which is gone MIA at the moment. The other thing I want you to keep in mind is for my organization, I also keep a schedule. Because my schedule is different every single day, I like to have a schedule where I can see, hey, what is happening today? So this one here, it will just say the cycle day, and then it'll tell me what my day looks like, and it changes every single day. So when I change the board up here at the top, I will also flip that one to the next day. The next area that we're going to look at is going to be this back storage area. Now, this is really, really nice. However, down here at the bottom, this is all student storage. minus the one that's at the very end for me to be able to put my backpack and my lunchbox. So the only storage I have is going to be the ones that are right here at the top, plus the bins that are all the way at the very top of this storage unit. So let's see what's in cabinet number 1. So cabinet number 1, there's going to be a ton of just kind of craft materials that I like to keep inside of my classroom. I'm very proud because I did finally put labels on them, very simple labels, but I wasn't able to take these shoe boxes that are from Target and put them this way, which is typically how you would organize it. Unfortunately, it's too shallow, so I had to turn them sideways to be able to make them all fit. So you can see, I mean, I have everything from straws to clothespins to popsicle sticks to brown bags and pipe cleaners, and I keep it really neatly organized. And it makes it easier too, so that if I see, for instance, my pom-poms I don't have any more of, I can easily go and refill this. Now let's see behind cabinet number 2. So behind this cabinet, it's still a continuation of craft items slash decor, because that's when we're starting to get to the end of it. These are much larger bins that I've purchased also from Target. Oh, you can see I still have the label on there. All right, I got to take that off, guys. But I have yarn and I have ribbon. I do have some odds and ends inside of this. Like I've done sock snowman. I have some like picture frames for pride. These are cotton balls that I need to refill. And then these are just kind of some craft items that I don't have labeled, so I'm not going to. These are from Ikea that I've just taken out the frame portion of it, and then I've just made them into a little flip tray for students. I have more of these items to make different labels and signs that I will keep from the dollar store. And then I have some variation in cups. You never know when you need them, along with plates. And then I have some paints. The next 2 cabinets are going to be more office supplies. So the first 2 sets are craft. The next 2 sets are office. And so up here at the top, you can see I have some different folders and pouches, composition notebooks, that type of thing. I have some excess markers that are up here. And then we start to get into the supplies. So again, I've just added labels to them. I can't have them go this direction. So I just have them long ways, which does kind of interfere with how much I can put here. But one of my other favorite organizational systems is I utilize something called a highlighter toolkit, which this is available inside of my store. And what I love about these is that I've purchased these little photo containers from Michaels, and then I have all the different colors that are in here. So whenever I need my students to work with highlighters and we're doing an activity, I can simply pull them from here and then pass them out to each of my students. It makes it very, very easy. So there's not much else different that's going to be on this side. Same thing, a lot of office supplies. All of them are labeled so that I know exactly what it is. In the final cabinet that's back here, these items are going to be all of my teacher resource books. Now, this was really challenging because I didn't exactly know how I was going to make it fit, because some of these, like this height, is good. I mean, it's just barely okay. You can see that this book is kind of being pulled in a direction here. So what I did instead is I just used some containers that I already had. These are stackable containers. I think I got these from Walmart many years ago. And I just turned them long ways. And then I organized my books based off of the content. So these are going to be following directions, morning meeting. I have some like reader theater, there's social studies. These are more like activity-based books. And then I have like the district stuff that I don't really touch much of. And then I also have some of these boxes that I've purchased from Lakeshore. So all of this is things that I might access as a teacher for my instructional resources. I'm not going to show you every single bin that's up there, but I am gonna pull one of these down so that you can see what I have inside of it and what the bin container itself looks like. It was a little bit of an investment at the beginning of the year, but it was well worth it to be able to have more storage space up here, because while my classroom looks like it has a ton of storage, it truly does not, and you're gonna see that as we start to continue with all of the organizational systems I have. So I've decided that I've left all of the labels on just so that I can show it to you guys. So really, I was being very mindful that when I did this video, if ever I was gonna do the video, I was fully prepared. So this is what the container looks like. These are also from Target. So I knew I needed to have a little bit of extra storage for some of the odds and end items that I don't necessarily need to access every day, or hardly at all, to be honest. So what I did is I got these storage bins because they were a really good width, and then I went to Hobby Lobby and I just found some paper that I really enjoyed or liked, and then I just folded it to make it cover the front because I don't really want to see what's inside of it. So inside of this one, you're gonna see I have these little pouches, and these are for when we have field trips. So I will give each of these to a parent volunteer. That way they have all of the materials that they might need. These I've gotten from Amazon. I will link these down below, but very easy. I just kind of keep them stocked or just restock them the next time we have a field trip. And it has little things like tissues, Band-Aids, sanitizer, wet wipes, garbage bags, all the things that you feel like your parents might end up needing. You're probably saying, but Bridget, how do you know what's inside of those containers? Because you don't have them labeled. You're right, I don't have them labeled. I haven't decided if I want to label it, but if I did, I think I would put it on the side and not the front, because I feel like if I put it on the front, it's gonna mess up my whole vibe. So I would put it on the side. However, I can very easily look at the sides of them and see what's inside of them. I tried to keep them into categories. So like I have all the field trip stuff in one, I have extra manila folders and just like random like folder items all inside of one. I have like dress up items. Oh wow, who would say that as an adult? Only a teacher. But I have some dress up things that I will put into an entire container. I have extra trays and things to that extent in one container. So I can see what's inside of it. I just don't need to get to it all the time. It's like maybe once in the year that I will need to access it. I probably should put labels, which I might do another time. I do want to acknowledge that I have some items over here in this very corner that are not concealed, and it's because they don't fit. So I have all of these like cake trays that don't fit anywhere else that I will use for like individual activities. It helps to define a space for them. And then I have like those toolboxes back there that I will use for physical breakouts. And just some very random stuff. Gotta love the random stuff inside of a classroom, guys. So I'm not all the way organized, but it does work for me. So when you come into my classroom, you will see this. This is my kitchen area plus my area here. So I have a view of the door itself. So in this spot here, this is where I will keep some random items. So up at the very top, I have some tools, I have extra cords, glue guns that are all organized inside of the containers itself, except for my measuring tapes. My measuring tapes don't fit, so I just put those at the very top. And then down here at the bottom, this is gonna be where I keep any like food or candies that I might give out. I have a reward for gum that's in my gumball machine, so I like to keep some of those. I have my coffee so that I can go to the faculty room to make my coffee. I have candies that I will give out as rewards for students. And then I have some little water cups that students can also use. If I decide that I don't want anyone leaving my classroom, they can fill it up here. So that is this little area. I keep it very consolidated, but I like being able to access everything. And I have a dehumidifier. Very much needed, especially as we are getting into these 80-degree weather days, which it unattractively is going to my sink. But you know what? I love this thing. It makes me very happy. Now I'm going to take you back through my space and my area in the classroom, and I'm going to talk you through what I have going on to help keep me organized and sane when it comes to teaching throughout the day. So right next to my sink area, I have these 3 drawers. Now, I could have used these drawers for kitchen items. However, I needed a little bit more space when it came to organizing some of the materials for teaching and just like small office supplies that I don't want to necessarily go to the cabinets. So in this very top drawer, I just cleaned this out, guys, just for you. I'm not gonna lie. But I have a little bowl, a glass bowl with some erasers for my students. I have my remote for my light up here. I have these extra punch cards, which I will talk about these punch cards a little bit later on, but I keep extras that are already cut up here. I have my gumballs that my students have opened and need to be refilled for my gumball machine, which I will show you. And then I have some different other items. So I have my label maker, which I need to fix some of my labels. I have some extra Post-its and batteries, and then I keep some tape and also a stapler right here. The middle drawer has some items that I just need to have available quickly. So I have some student materials that I have to have here for hearing, and then I have some stamps, I have letters that I can access, I have my old, I guess it's like a hover cam. What are these things called? It's not a hover cam, it's something totally different, and I can't remember what it's called. But it's just to be able to display something that you're working on, and I just keep that here. Oh, and I have like a ball to blow up new balls, or to refill them at least. And then right underneath that, I have my laminating machines. I have some headphones that are not working. I have hole punches and a big, huge book stapler. So those materials stay in that bottom drawer. So in this little back section here, I have my filing system, and this is my saving grace when it comes to keeping me organized during the day. And so this is something that I've used for many, many years. I really enjoy it, and it helps to keep me organized. So these are just Ikea pull-out shelves. One of these is newer than the other. I'll let you guess which one, but the drawers pull out, which is really nice, and so I can easily access any of the materials. But in this first one, here are the labels that I have. I have an inbox that allows me to put all of my papers that I just need to put them somewhere so they're not taking control of my desk. Then I have waiting. So if I'm waiting for something, whether it's that I'm waiting for somebody to sign it or I just need to wait to get more information, I have a requires attention, to file, and then also to copy and cut. And then on this side, it's more of my grading system. So needs completed, so anything that needs to be done. So right now these are writing rubrics that we've just finished up one of our writings, so I need to grade them. So once I put those together and have them printed, I will put them into the needs graded section. And then from there, I can enter my scores, and then I can have a section for graded. And then this one is for their portfolio. So if it goes in the graded section, it means that it can go home. But here is where it needs to go if it's portfolio. And I keep some Acadians assessments that are in here for progress monitoring. Now I'm going to be honest, the binders I don't necessarily use a ton of, but it is nice to be able to have them. So I have a substitute binder that has different materials inside of it. I will link this because this is a product in my store. It just has information for when a sub comes in and they need to access something. I keep an assessment binder, so I have anything that has assessments, which I'm not going to be able to show you because it has too much data in it. And then I have a small groups one, so any form of like fluency groups, if I have small groups for like interventions, all of that information will go inside of there. And currently this one is starting to hold more of curriculum items from my district. And then I have a fluency intervention binder that helps to give me some ideas of what to do for that fluency intervention. And then I have my book. This is my first book, Jumpstart Learning and Your Kids. I will also leave this link down below, but I keep 4 of these here because I am proud. I am very proud. In this little section right here, I will keep some different things. I have a microphone that I can use. Currently, somebody else is using my little lav mic, so I don't technically use it right now, but I do keep that here. I have my students' hearing aid items that will go here and get charged. I have everything from slips that need to be filled out. I have some extra think marks that I use for small group instruction. I keep envelopes and index cards, and then I have these. These are those little wristbands, and I like to keep them to put reminders. So I will write a reminder for a student and then let them take that home wearing it so that they don't forget something. And of course, extra folders, because you just never know. Oh, and I have a fan from a friend's wedding this last summer. And it is the best thing ever, especially when it starts to get really hot inside of my classroom. And then up here, I'm not going to get too close because it does have information on it, but I will keep some clipboards. The 2 bottom clipboards are going to be checklists that I can easily access for my students, whether I'm collecting something and I just want to make sure I have everybody checked off. And then I have our strike system, which is our behavior management system. That is a school-wide item. And then over here, I just have some extra schedules for either my intervention teachers. I have for push-in assistants that will come in. I like to keep their schedules and items here so that I can access them. I have important dates from the school up here, and then I also have a little clip of just brain breaks, because we all need brain breaks. And then to organize any form of conferencing, I will have these little circles, and the circles will indicate which one I am on. So I will just clip it on depending on which group of students I am going to be meeting with that day. Currently, right now, I am revamping it because we're getting ready for testing. So I went on ahead and erased it, but that is normally how I organize my conference schedule. Behind my water bottle, I have this little box, and it just keeps behavior check-ins. So check-ins that we send home, I will just keep those there and have them organized in case a parent has questions about it. And so it's just a little box that I got, a recipe box from Target, and I really like having that organized there. So we are starting to get into the home stretch of everything that is in my teacher space. Whew, there is a lot of stuff happening here, but I want to introduce you to my cart. My cart is next to my small group area. It is one of the Ikea carts. I've had it for many years and I love it, but I have just recently gotten to the point where it is really organized and I feel like it's really working for me. So I'm going to take you step by step into what I have inside of it, why I have it in here, and how I use it inside of my classroom. So this is my cart system. It stays right here next to my small group area. And let's go ahead and get started with the very top. So let's look at what I have in here. So I have a Lakeshore caddy, which was gifted to me. And inside of the caddy, I do have it organized, even though it doesn't look that way. I have all of my erasable pens in this section. I have highlighters and dry erase markers in this one. And then I have pencils, glue sticks. This is for my punch cards and 1 pair of scissors. Finally, I have all of my sticky notes here. It's really nice because I'm able to spin it because I have enough space. Now, in order to make that happen, I do have to utilize one of the magnet book stand holders. It works really, really well. So I have some composition notebooks that I use with students for an intervention group. I have my conference forms that I can easily pull out. I also have a set of whiteboards. I have some progress monitoring passages that are here. And then these are going to be quick cards that we will practice for sounds. So all of those items are going to be at the very top. In the middle, I have a few different items. So one, I keep one of my highlighter toolkits in here just for me. I also have some pointers that are in here along with some little pencils, which these are like golf pencils, but they're great. I keep some of these sentence strips so that when I have students doing an activity in small group, I can pull those out. And then I also have some phones. So I have whisper phones that my husband made for me back when I taught kindergarten, and I will keep those there. Inside of this, I have bought these from, it's like a jewelry organization box, like for beads and that kind of thing. I got this from Michael's in the section where you would find the jewelry pieces. And I took out some of the pieces inside of it, and I have all of my cutout letters. So this is what I will use for when my students are practicing building words and breaking them apart. All of those items are in here. And then at the very bottom, I have two different baskets. I have a basket of fidgets for students, and then I have a basket of just odd and end items. So these are going to be fluency strips that we can practice fluencies with. I have word cards. These are mainly for ED, so identifying the differences between the 3 sounds that ED makes. And then I have my talking sticks for accountability talk. I keep those in here. I have my think marks, which are also, not my think marks. Oh, let's see. I have these, which are part of my book head heart, and then also my notice and notes. So all of those items are in there so that I can easily access them. So that is my cart. By the window, I don't really like to put a ton of different things. I like to keep this space cleared so that if I'm doing activities and I have different baskets, I can organize them up here. But I do have a few things. I have my first kindergarten class, which is here. It's a picture that was given to me by the parent, so I keep that up there. I have my internship class that I will keep up here. And then I have a treasure box for if students pull a gumball and it says that they can take a trip to the treasure box. That is located there. On this side, I have a few different things. I have my cube that I will use for my microphone. I have a watering plant piece. I have an Ikea plant. And then I have my gumball machine. So my gumball machine is a reward. It is something that we do if students fill up a punch card, which I will show you in a little bit. All they do is turn it, and it would give them a gumball. So it's a game of chance because they don't really know what gumball they're gonna get. The kids really, really enjoy it. Here I have my anchor binder. So I will keep different anchors. I keep a color copy, and then I have black and white copies behind it. So if I want to give it to a student, I can. So I will just maintain some of my anchor charts here once I'm done, and I don't want to have it up and posted inside of my classroom, but I still have the ability to go back and access it. So I do have some cabinet space back here next to my work area. And this little cabinet space, these are file cabinets. So I'm going to talk you through really quick what I have in these file cabinets. Now I know we've talked a little bit about paper and digital items, especially on teaching on the double, and the differences between going digital and having things that are on paper, but there are still some things that I keep on paper. In this top drawer next to me, I will have my 43 folder system. So it is a system that I use to help me organize papers. And it is the best system ever. I don't like to use the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday options because they tend to get too full. And I really love this one. I'm gonna leave a video linked so that you guys can go and check out how to use this system in your own classroom. Under here, I have student portfolios, which I'm not gonna show you since it has names, but I have portfolios in this one. In this one here, I have my assessments, so I will keep those there. And then I have a section for my units. So I have my units organized by the grade, the unit number, and then the lesson number so that I can pull it out and then access anything that I might need. So I can statements, organizers, I just keep pretty basic things, but I still have the digital copy. It just makes it easy for me to go and make copies if needed. So that's my units. In this one, I have all of the extra things, kind of the random items. So I have behavior strike forms that are already printed and ready to go, so I don't have to remember to print them every week. I have discipline forms, bathroom sign-outs that are ready, birthdays, word study. I just maintain anything and everything. So extra punch cards. I probably could organize this a little bit better, but that is something that I'm gonna do next year. The last three that I have here are basically nothing. So this just has a couple of binders that I still have to sort through, and then some file folders, along with some extra pouches that I had from the beginning of the year for extra students that I might get throughout. So I just keep those inside of there, and hopefully next year I'll have those a little bit more organized. So right next to my library, I like to keep a binder. I just flip the binder over. It is our borrowing system. So the students know to add the date, their name, the book, and then the author. When they return it, they highlight it for me. And so it has a little paper here that I just kind of taped, and it said highlight only when you return the book. And so it's a really nice system, and I can quickly see which students have returned their books and which ones have not. Inside of here, I like to keep my extra labels. So you're gonna see that my library is labeled by genre. So I have little book spines that are color coded, and that color code is in relation to the genre of that book. So to do that, I don't like to spend money on labels because they are very, very expensive. So instead what I do is I print them out on paper like this, and then I will just spend some time cutting them out. When I cut them out, I have them organized by color in this little bin that I've gotten from Michael's. And then I will just use packing tape to tape it onto the book spine of my books. So I keep all of those extra materials inside of here so that I can easily access them if I get new books. And then finally in this little section, I have some I Spy books that I like to keep for indoor recess. And then this little section here is my indoor recess bin. Oh my goodness, I have not looked in here for a while. Normally it is supposed to be a lot cleaner. Maybe that'll be a great task for somebody to do today, but I like to keep a picture of what it should look like for my students. So you can see they tried, but some things did get a little unorganized. So I'm gonna have a student spend some time today organizing it to make it look like this again. So I shared a little bit about my classroom library. I'm not gonna go into much more detail just because it is organized by genre, which is what I prefer. But up here in the front, I have some other items that I will use for organization. So some of the things that I like to do to keep me organized is I have a little desk up here that sometimes I will use to display things, and I will keep random things. Like I have some of my hexagons for when we're doing an activity up on our board up here. I do have some of these little smelly items. I have my laser pointer clicker, which I don't use as much now that we have the board. And then I have my remote for my projector. So all of that stays in that little area. But up here on my board, I have some different pieces to help keep me organized. So the first thing is I use these little trays to have index cards with students' name on it. So this is my block 1. The second one is going to be my block 2. And so if I have a sub, they can easily use these cards to help call on students. Then I have 2 extra bins from Lakeshore. And these bins, one of them is to hold my writer's notebook so that I can model for my students, and apparently it's also to hold my owl. And then I will keep extra papers here. So anything that, if it's a paper item and it's extra that we have, I will place them there in case students mess up and they need to redo something. That is where it goes. I try to clean it out once a month so it doesn't get too messy. I have our class bingo. And then down here, I have the read aloud book that we're reading currently, along with some morning meeting cards that I can easily access for my students. And this is also a magnetic tray that I got from Staples. Now I want to address something really quick. You are going to notice that in the front of my classroom, I don't have a ton of teaching materials. And this is primarily due to a couple of different things. One, my students have computers. So every single student in the classroom has a Chromebook. And so this means that we try to do a lot more on our Chromebooks. I utilize Schoology, which is my learner LMS. And so I don't have a ton of teaching materials. The other thing is that I have a fancy new view board, which previously I had a projector and I would just pull down my screen, and that's how I would give a lot of my instruction. But now that I have the view board, I don't necessarily need the other desk that I have in the front. So now I've made that a reward to be able to sit at for students. And I will do a lot of my instruction on the view board itself. So as I go through this, keep in mind, I don't have a ton of things. Now, before I had like an easel and I had materials under the easel, and I still have some, but I don't have a lot. So just remember that as we go through. So up in the front of the classroom, one of the things I do have is just a basket of some of my clipboards. And this just allows students to be able to access those clipboards if they're choosing to sit about the room. So then when we come to this side of the classroom where the view board is located, I have my computer right at the very bottom. Now, next to the computer, I have another caddy, which I use for my dry erase markers. So I have dry erase markers, and then I have erasers, and then I have just like some talking sticks that we will use every once in a while. But when my students are going to use whiteboards, when we are sat in the meeting area, which is kind of outlined by these dots, so these are just Velcro dots that I use, I will take this caddy and then I will place it right here. And so that signals to students that they are going to grab their whiteboards, which are located in their blue chair pockets, and then they will place that and sit here. So they'll grab their markers and they'll take a seat. So that is one thing that I have really enjoyed. And the reason why I do this is because students have a habit when they're either working independently or at the very end of the day that they are drawing on their whiteboards. And I don't want to refill these expo markers constantly. So in order to help limit the cost that I'm putting in to buy expo markers, I like to keep them here. On top of that, I will have my Chime so that I can get my students' attendance. I have my remote that's here. And then behind my view board, I have a couple of baskets. So the first basket has just some morning meeting questions and items. This one has a couple of morning meeting books. I have some cards that I can use for morning meeting, some yoga cards, different little items that we can use for that. So that's where I will keep a lot of my morning meeting stuff. I do keep this blue rag, which was given to me for cleaning my view board screen. And all I did is I clipped it to a magnet, and then I just have it there at the very back. So I don't utilize this space as much anymore, which is where we used to keep our mentor sentence. I do now just keep it on the view board for my students to be able to see it. And then we have this section of the classroom, which is in the far corner from where I am sat. And in this far corner of the classroom, I have a few things. I have the 40 book challenge, which my students have their rings up here where they can keep track of the books that they're reading. I have a little book display. The blue book displays are from Lakeshore. I have my 4-cube system to keep my goal station. And then I have these pockets that will maintain any of the templates for my book talk so that students can easily access those. And then I have another Ikea cart. And with this Ikea cart, and I have to move this fan, but within this Ikea cart, I have a couple of different things. The first is going to be a little caddy. This caddy was given to me back when I taught kindergarten. And so inside of it, I have some blank books for students to create books. I have some ideas for, hey, do you want to make a card? Do you want to write a story? Like, here are some different writing ideas. So if students want to free write, they can come and access some different materials. And then I have a cover, which is also from Ikea. And underneath the cover is where I kept a lot of my mentor sentence items. So these were a lot of the labels and things. This is from Hello Fifth. But again, because now I have the view board, I'm not utilizing my chalkboard as much. So I don't access these materials as much anymore. But it just kind of keeps it organized for me. Underneath, I have all of my book talk materials. So I have all of the little labels for when they are able to get to certain numbers of books. I have cut up index cards that are already hole punched for students to be able to track. And then as they complete genres, I have beads that are already located here. I think this was a set that I got from Five Below, I want to say. And these are great because I'm just able to, again, keep everything nice and neatly organized. We will do executive functioning games, and so that means that we're doing card games as a class. And so I have a group of just cards that are here for students to be able to access, along with another cover that is just more storage. So that is what that little space looks like. Again, it just helps to keep everything nice and neat and tidy and somewhere where I can easily access things. I feel like that's the theme of the video. So in the corner, I mentioned that we were talking about the gumball machine and the punch cards. And so this was my solution for behavior management. So with our strike system, the strike system helps to keep track of behaviors in the classroom. So it's more of a consequence than a reward for students. And so as I was implementing the strike system, I really didn't like that a lot of the students who were doing the right thing, who were staying on task, were not being acknowledged more. Now we have pride tickets. That is something that I give out and use with my class, but I don't do it as often as I should probably remember. So one of the things that I decided to do was implement a punch card system. And so if students don't get a strike that day, they get to get a punch. And so the punch card looks like this. And so you'll see on the side it has 1 through 10. And then I put their name and their number on it. And so at the end of class, if they haven't gotten a strike from me, they will come to me and I will give them a punch. When they fill up 10 of them, they will get to go to the gumball machine, and then I will give them a new punch card. So to keep my punch cards organized, because my students don't really have a ton that they're carrying back and forth, and we don't really have a ton of organization for them because a lot of it's going to be on their Chromebooks, I wanted somewhere where students can just maintain their punch cards. So I have this little, I guess it's like a jewelry hanger. I found it super cheap, I think at Five Below many years back. And this is what I've used. So I've just put numbers on them so that students can know which one, because I have 2 different blocks. So there's 2 different cards in each pocket. So students will just keep their punch card inside there. They will come and grab it once it is their time to get their hole punches. It's easy, it's quick, and the students really seem to enjoy it. I did forget to mention this little area over here in the back corner of my classroom. So I have a whiteboard system that I will use for students to be able to write their names when they want to meet with me. And this is if they have questions while I'm teaching, they know that they can come back here and just write their name. But the other thing that I have is this little basket, and inside the basket I have pride tickets. So I'm able to hand out pride tickets. I have just a quick spot for me to be able to grab them. And then I have this little jar with these little smellies. And so as students are working really hard and doing something well, I will just go around and give them a quick little smelly on their hand, and they really enjoy that reward system as well. So now coming to this side of the classroom, I have a couple of chargers that are personal ones that I have purchased, and I will just leave them here so that if students need to charge and they don't have a charger, they can come and take a seat on the side area. I also have this little storage from Ikea, and all I did was just put some whiteboards and some other items that might be needed in case I have extra students for when we have to split classes. In this little section of my classroom, I have these very long drawers. I have been very proud that I've kept this organized. So in the top, all I have are sentence strips. I have some small posters like construction paper. I do keep a set of rulers and these type of items for me to post up here on our board. So that is going to be this first area. In the second one, I just keep chart paper, so those are just chart paper items. I have some large pocket charts that I have purchased back when I taught kindergarten that I maintain here. I have some posters, things that I just don't really want to get rid of, and this is like a whiteboard stand that I also place inside. And then the final one has some of my transferring tape, Cricut items, and then a few construction paper pieces as well. At the very top, I have this Ikea system. You can tell I really like Ikea for classroom, but I used this for my robots. So any of my technology robots, all of those items will go in here. I do have a few item activities that you can do with them, and so I will just maintain all of those items in this section so that students can easily access them. And then in the final closets inside of my classroom, I have two very, very large tubs. And again, these have kind of like holiday items, dress up items, things that I really don't need to get to very often. So I just place those up there. You can also see I have some hula hoops for different activities that I will do, but those are typically just hidden right behind it. You can see there. But one organization system that I've been loving this year is this pencil parking lot. This was something that was started by my partner. She got this for me and we've been utilizing it and it works fantastic. So the students will just grab their pencil for the number and that is the pencil that they will use, and I will ensure that the parking lot is filled up before we start to transition back to our other classes. Inside of this drawers, I have activity things. So I have some empty containers that are here that I can get to. I have hats from an activity that I've done in the past. And then I have these little Jenga sets that I've created and that I will use for different topics. In these little stackable containers, I have different things, like these are tennis balls. This is the spoons game. I have some dice, and I have some other items in there just to make things fun and engaging. This kind of theme continues. I do have some extra headphones that are sitting here, and then I have other items. So when I do any form of a book tasting, I will take out these items. I have basketballs, blow-up balls, and then I have these, which are scrapbook containers that I will use to organize any really big themed unit. So like I have breakouts, I have some fun games, and I will keep all of those materials in here. Same thing with some of these items. I have these, which are kind of like the little pins where you can pick things up for an activity. I have some flashlights that I've collected, some magnifying glasses that I've collected, lots of little things, but this is like all of the engagement area. And then this is the cabinet that I don't necessarily get to, but I do have my book club books, which are all organized. I can easily pull these out and see what I have in the back. So I do have like 2 rows of these, both up at the top and here. And then I also have some down here. These are from the school. Those kind of just stay in here. But again, all of my book club books are organized in this cabinet system. This is a little closet area, so I have a vacuum, my stepping stool, and then some winter items for when it was super cold outside. I keep some of my testing material along with different portfolios, cumulative folders that need to go in this little section in those 2 file cabinets. I do have more space back here in the start of my classroom where I have more library books just because I had too many. We use these for different categories that we've created as a class. I like to display some of the books up here, and then we have a rack in order to maintain all of our headphones. And because I've had some go missing, I've now started adding tape that has the numbers, and I can easily check to make sure that all the numbers are there for the ones that I have. Now, that is all of the organization just in my classroom, behind the cabinets, behind my space where I teach. And then we have student organization. And so I try to keep this pretty minimal because the more I end up giving students, the more I have to really spend time ensuring that they are keeping those organizational systems intact. So I try to be minimal and I try to make them go as digital as possible. So in my chair pocket, every student has a chair pocket, and I have 2 blocks of classes. So I have 2 students who are sitting at this desk at different points in the day. So in the chair pocket itself, one thing that I will have them have is a whiteboard. So I give them this whiteboard. There's only one that they use inside of this class. Remember, the dry erase markers are going to be available up in the front of my classroom. On top of that, they will each have a writer's notebook. And so I give them both writer's notebooks, and they will just keep them inside of the chair pocket. So the only two things that belong there are the writer's notebooks and this whiteboard. Inside of the desk, and if they have a desk, now if they don't have a desk and they're sat at a table, a lot of these items are in the chair pocket. But inside of the desk, I have two folders. I have one blue, one green. This is for the two different blocks. So my block 1 is green, my block 2 is blue, and they will keep any papers if we have them inside of those folders. Now, I've also liked to include a little container in each desk. Originally, I had headphones in here. However, we were not utilizing them appropriately, and so we had to remove those from the desks. So inside of these currently, all I have are my think marks, which are available in my store, and it guides them in their instruction for filling out their graphic organizers, and they have a highlighter in here as well. So those are the only things that are inside of their desks. Now, if my students are sat at a table, then they will have a caddy. So the caddy itself will hold the think marks and the highlighters. Everything else, which is the folders, the writer's notebook, and the whiteboard, will go inside of the students' chair pockets. But that is it. That is my entire organizational system inside of this classroom. I hope that you guys enjoyed this little classroom organization tour so that you can see how I maintain all of the different spaces here. If you have any questions, or if I've forgotten to leave a link for something, please put it into the comments. I will be answering those as I can see them. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will catch you all next time. Bye.